Hello, everybody. This is DMV Sports Talk. I'm host Austin. My co-host is Ed.
What's up, folks?
We got a lot of stuff to talk about. We got our guest on the call. We got our first topic is going to be March Madness. What do you think on that, both of you? Insights.
Well, let's see, man. I was up late last night because of college basketball. I guess I watched about 13 hours of basketball yesterday. I've watched about 10 hours of basketball already today, and I can't wait till tomorrow and Sunday. That's what I think about that. I love college basketball. There is no better basketball than the NCAA tournament, in my opinion. College basketball, I'll take a dude. I will take a play-in game for the NCAA tournament over an NBA basketball game any day of the week.
Tanya, what's your opinion?
Wow. Well, it's been fun. I live here in Dallas, so a lot of people were annoyed that SMU. I think you can make the argument that they didn't get a fair call go their way yesterday. I personally am a Michigan State fan. They beat Georgia this morning, so that was fun to watch for me. I'm a little concerned for them because they usually don't finish well in games. They're talented, but they don't really finish well. But it's been a fun tournament. I mean, Georgia State beating Baylor yesterday, that was impressive.
Wasn't that fun to watch?
It is. It's always fun to see the underdog get a big win, especially off a game winner. So it's something you definitely have to enjoy.
Dude, I had SMU going to the Final Four. Believe that?
I believe it. I had them in the Elite Eight, losing to Duke.
Did you? I really thought they were good enough to. I really thought they were good enough to go to the Final Four.
I mean, they're a good team. I mean, Larry Brown has literally changed the culture in SMU. They back in the '80s, SMU was known as a football school, and they've really never ever been known as a basketball school. This is the first time they really have. Larry Brown came in there, changed the culture. Larry Brown's an established coach in the NBA and NCAA, so it was really disappointing. It was disappointing that they lost, but it's kind of the way they did it because a lot of people here in Dallas didn't really agree with that call at the end, the goaltend. But I mean, what can you do?
Yeah. Well, hey, you know what though, man? When you're the team that's supposed to go out and dominate that game, and you're supposed to win that game, and you allow it to come down to a referee's decision, don't you kind of deserve to lose? That's what I always say. If you're the team that should win, it shouldn't come down to a referee's decision. You should be able to put the other team away.
Oh yeah, SMU they put themselves in a hole right before that play. They turned the ball over. They turned the ball over. That play likely doesn't ever even happen. So
yeah,
SMU certainly to blame. It was a tough loss, but that's sports. I mean, if SMU had won, they'd be like, hey, calls happens. I'm sure UCLA calls happens. That's part of the sport.
Absolutely. It's been a fun tournament, though, man. I mean, what have we had? 5 or 6 one-point games, a couple of 3-point games. I mean, it's final possession games. It has been a fun tournament. It really has, and I'm looking forward to the weekend games and then next week.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, as March Madness every single year, it's always fun. It's always fun to see the Cinderella team. I mean, I think it's fair to say, judging by their record, Kentucky's definitely the favorite to win it all, without a doubt. But it'll be interesting to see if one of those other teams in the bracket can knock them off or give them a run for their money.
Well, look at UVA. They almost lost tonight. I forgot what team they played against, but they were struggling to beat this team. But that's another favorite to be in the national championship. It could be Kentucky versus UVA. I mean, not UVA. I mean, yeah, UVA. So.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's fun. I mean, in my bracket personally, I had Kentucky, Arizona, Duke, and Michigan State. I mean, I might be a little biased towards Michigan State. I'm a big Tom Izzo fan. But, I mean, like I said, Michigan State's talented. And their biggest problem this whole year has been closing out games. And but I think that Tom Izzo is definitely – if you want a coach that can definitely kick your guy into gear, you want the Tom Izzos, the Coach K's, the John Calipari's. Those are the guys who you really turn it up during the tournament, and we've seen it time and time after again. So if Michigan State made the Final Four, I'm looking at their bracket, I wouldn't be too surprised. Maybe other people will, but I know I wouldn't.
I've got Michigan State going to the round of 8 and losing to Villanova.
That's fair. I mean, My only thing with Nova is that I know they're a good team, phenomenal team. I'm a big concerned about the Big East because it's definitely not the Big East that I can honestly say. I mean, I'm 23, I'm still young, but it's not the Big East I remember throughout my high school years. The Villanovas, the UConns, the Syracuses.
Come on, young man. It's not the Big East I remember from my childhood years.
Yeah, I bet.
I mean, back when the Big East was the Big East, when big coach John Thompson was coaching Patrick Ewing and Raleigh Massimino, and I mean, you're talking about Derek Coleman at Syracuse. I mean, that was back. The college basketball back then was a lot of fun. You're too young to know that. You got to go on YouTube for that.
No. You know what? I 100% agree with you. I mean, the NCAA has changed a whole lot since the NBA done this one and done rule. The NCAA now, it's all about freshmen.
Yeah.
And how great they're going to be when they go to the NBA. For many years, we don't see the dynasties in college basketball anymore.
Well, one thing that the new commissioner in the NBA is going to review this offseason, that's the possibility of going to a 2-year minimum. And I think that would be good for both college and for the NBA. I think it gives NBA players more time to not only mature athletically and let their body develop more, but to mature mentally and socially. So, I mean, I'm not opposed to that. But I also do think that these college players, I think that they should receive some sort of stipend. Be it a $200 a week, and I'm not talking about paying them, $10,000 a month or no. I'm talking about paying them a couple $100 a week because part of the whole thing about the college, they can't work jobs off campus. So if they need to have the money, they got to work on campus. They can't work at Burger King or whatever. So, but anyway,
I get what you're saying. It's a tough call because if athletes, I've always said this: if athletes get paid, there's always going to be the domino effect. I mean, take for example, like when I was in college. I was at Hofstra University, WRHU 88.7 FM. We're the number one college radio station in the country, and we covered our sports teams very well. We covered our basketball team. When they had a football team, they covered the football team. They covered the New York Islanders, who were the flagship station for. And whenever they would travel, we would have to travel. And that's a lot on us when going to school and stuff. And the question, whenever that question was thrown around, as athletes get paid, the question came along, well, should we get paid too, since we're always going on the road, we're following these guys, we're putting those guys on the air, especially when it came to the Islanders. So, I mean, if it happens, there's going to be a domino effect that goes into other aspects of outside of just collegiate athletes as well.
Now, Austin, we're getting a little off topic. Is that okay if I ask a couple more questions?
No problem.
Now, when with the radio station in college, now was that a not-for-profit radio station, or how exactly did that work?
We had to. We didn't get paid or anything, but the station, it would make money off of donations. It would make the school had a budget for it.
Okay.
And
so for like broadcast journalism majors, stuff like that.
Yeah. I mean, it was mostly filled with broadcast journalism majors. We had to sign up. You couldn't just sign up and get in. You had to sign up. You signed up. Right. You have to have a resume and everything. You get a call back, and you get put in a class, and you have to take a test, and you have to get a 90 or above on the test to be entered in the station. So it's not easy. It's not simple. I mean, Hofstra's in particular, I can't speak for every other college, but Hofstra's in particular had very, very strong standards, and I think that's what makes it such a good radio school. But it had strong standards, and that's how they got the Islanders, and it was just always difficult sometimes to balance our schoolwork, to balance the Islanders, go on the road, stuff like that.
So now... So basically, not only was that educational for you as far as your college experience, but that in turn was also your job, your on-campus job.
Sure, yeah, it was, because we had to put so much time into it. It's like whenever you weren't in class, what were you doing? You're at the radio station.
So, see, I wouldn't be opposed to. There should be a stipend for you as a college student / employee. That should be. You should almost be put on the university's payroll because you're in essence you're working for the university.
Sure.
And by your radio station, you being the number one college station in the nation, you're all you're doing is giving your university, being Hofstra, more recognizability. Did I say that right? I don't know. but you follow what I'm saying? I mean,
no, I totally agree.
You're out there being a good representative of your university. Basically, now you're marketing, and I believe that you should be paid for that or be rewarded with a small stipend. And
sure.
Again, I'm not talking about big money, and I'm not talking about paying these athletes big money. I'm talking about a couple $100 a week. You know what I mean?
Sure. I mean, I'll give you another example. I mean, one year that was a bit tough in particular was the year 2012. It was 2012, 2013, and during that year there was the lockout in the NHL. And we didn't know what the Islanders were going to do. It gave us a little leeway, but at the same time, we still have to prepare because there still hasn't been a declared lockout. And at the same time, there was a presidential debate on our campus, so we had to prepare for that as well. Wow. So it was kind of like we had two gimmies right at the same time, and it was. I'm sure it was stressful for a lot of students. I mean, I tried to get by with it, but we made it work. But it would have been nice to have some type of compensation.
Okay.
Awesome. That's awesome.
Okay, moving on. There's more news to the NFL offseason. What do you think on that?
Well, as a Cowboys fan, I'm not happy DeMarco Murray left to go to Philly.
And as a Redskins fan, I'm happy that DeMarco Murray left the Cowboys.
Me too.
It's too bad they went to Philly, but anybody but Dallas.
Hail to the Redskins.
Hey, look, again, we'll go back and we'll look at the Redskins signings. I mean, they added Colt McCoy. I mean, I personally don't understand that. The only reason why you add McCoy is because they know that Robert Griffin is not their guy. They know he's not their guy. I think they get McCoy because he's going to, be the backup or the number 2, 3 guy behind Cousins. So they keep 2 solid quarterbacks that they like on the roster. It's clear and evident to the entire world that Robert Griffin is not their guy anymore. He's, they're going to make him the starter because almost because they gave up so much for him. You got to give him one more opportunity. But he's not a pocket passer. We beat that like a dead horse. They signed Jaron Johnson this week, backup safety from Seattle. A heck of a deal. Basically signed him, gave him backup money, and the guy's likely to be a starter. He's going to get out of the shadow of Legion of Boom, going to be able to play on the field. The kid is good, and hopefully he'll be able to show some things off. Also signed cornerback, what's his name, from San Francisco, Culley, Christopher Culliver. He's had some issues, both on and off the field. Hopefully he can get it straight because the guy's a talent, and he can step right in and be a number 2 corner on this team, which means Emerson or Breeland can move to the slot. And I'm hoping it's Emerson because Breeland's my guy. But show up Breeland, man. He put it on Des Bryant, in last year. That was great. Would he hold Des Bryant to 3 catches for 13 yards? That was a rookie corner, by the way.
By the way, I was at that game. I'll be honest with you. Yeah, I'm taking a look at the NFC East. I covered the Cowboys very extensively. I spoke with Clarence Hill, who's a Cowboys beat writer for the Fort Worth Star-Telegram. I spoke with him this morning on my radio show, and we were discussing the Cowboys offseason. They signed Greg Hardy earlier this week, signed Darren McFadden after the whole DeMarco Murray deal.
Excellent deal for Hardy, by the way. Fantastic deal for the Cowboys.
Yeah, I think that, I said on my radio show, and Clarence agreed with me, that it was a team-friendly and player-friendly deal. It's not really hurting the Cowboys, and for Greg Hardy, it gives him a chance to prove himself if he wants a long-term deal, if he can keep his legal off-the-field issues out of the way.
Well,
So,
they got him for $1.5 million for 1 year, and the Cowboys cannot option to use the franchise tag next year. So he's going to be an unrestricted free agent at the end of the season.
right, and that's why I think it's team friendly and player friendly, because for Hardy, if his off the field issues are truly done, he has an opportunity to prove himself for a big paycheck. I mean, he's only 26 years old. As for the Cowboys, if it works out, hey, maybe we'll think about signing him long term. If it doesn't work out, we're not paying him that much, so it's like, hey, we can get away with it. And it's only his pay is only worked on what he does during the games. There's not a lot of incentives in it, so I thought it was a good deal. As for the rest of the NFC East, it's interesting. Philadelphia has obviously made a huge change in their players. They have a lot of new guys. It's going to be interesting to see how that works. For Dallas, Dallas still has the best offensive line in football. That'll lead them a long way. I mean, it'll protect Romo. As for the running back situation, I think it remains to be seen. I mean, Darren McFadden, I think most people can agree that he could be good if he stays healthy. The question is, can he stay healthy?
Stay healthy.
For the Giants, I've said about this. If they can improve their offensive line, I mean, and Eli can, turn into a form that we saw maybe the last 6 games of the season or the last, couple seasons before this year and last year, with Victor Cruz being healthy and Odell Beckham Jr., who was incredible. I mean, I was at the game last year against the Giants, our Giants and Cowboys in New York, where he made that a phenomenal catch. And he wowed me, and I'm a Cowboys fan. It drives me insane, but he wowed me. As for Washington, I mean, obviously they still have a bit of some issues they have to work out with. I mean, their quarterback situation being one of them. I thought you brought up a lot of good points. They're done with them, but they're kind of stuck with them. They're kind of in that situation. And it all depends. If he can have any form of what he was his rookie year, he could be something. But we clearly haven't seen that the last 2 years. He's battled some injuries. It'll be interesting to see if he can stay healthy, Deshaun Jackson can stay healthy. Maybe they have a bit of a duo with that too.
Yeah, I feel that the Redskins are ready to move on from him. He's a tremendous athlete, but a tremendous athlete does not always equate to a good quarterback in the National Football League. And you talked about the offensive line that the Cowboys have, probably the best line in the game of football right now in the NFL game. Tony Romo, as much as I hate Dallas, and don't let me fool you. I mean, I hate Dallas.
I'll say this. As a Cowboys fan, I'm not too fond of Washington either.
But I'll tell you, man, a lot of people, they always dump on Romo, joke artist and yada, yada, what have you. And Cowboys fans dump on him, a lot.
He's kind of in a lose-lose situation with Cowboy fans. He can never win.
But one thing that I'll point out is, as an outsider looking in, first and foremost, Romo in the last 10, 12 years, Romo is one of the 5 best quarterbacks in the league. And some Cowboys fans never wanted to take a step back and look and say, really, the team isn't really that good. This guy's trying to make a play for our team, and he's turning the ball over because he's trying to make a play because he's got nobody else that wants to step up and make that play.
I agree with you.
And I think, dude, there were years when Cowboys fans were like, Tony Romo, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, damn, send him to Washington.
I'll say this. I can proudly say I was never one of those Cowboys fans. I've always been a Romo guy. I mean, like any player, I'm fans of a lot of teams just throughout sports, but, you're always going to have a player who – Romo has made me angry at times, but he's never made me angry to the point where I didn't want him as my quarterback anymore. There have been times where I love Romo. Again, I think he's great. I recall, a game against Denver in 2013 where Romo had the game for his life, threw for 500 yards, had 5 touchdowns, and they still ended up losing because of the pick. The defense was terrible in that game. It was despicable. And I thought this year, in particular, if Cowboys go 12-4, Romo played great. I thought a lot of people were asking who was the MVP of the Cowboys, Tony Romo or DeMarco Murray. And DeMarco Murray was great for Dallas this year, but I said it was Tony Romo in the sense because of one game in particular, and that was against the Arizona Cardinals. Tony Romo did not play in that game due to 2 broken bones in his back. And DeMarco Murray had he had over 100 yards in the first 7 games of the season. And that 8th game, he didn't get over 100 yards. Tony Romo didn't play, and the offense was deader than dead. So Romo can create things. Brandon Whedon was awful in that game. And, I was at that game a week before against Washington, where the game that you brought up, Romo got hurt in that game, and the offense just wasn't the same. I mean, he is the difference maker to the Cowboys' offense. And we all know that if the Cowboys' offense is healthy and clicking, they can score on anybody. But Romo's got to be that he's the big puzzle, the big centerpiece of what makes that team go offense.
Hey man, if a band loses its drum major, they can't play.
Right.
Yeah. How are we doing on time, buddy?
Good. Moving on. Let's talk about Major League Baseball spring training. I think that's still going on. What do you think about that?
Yeah, we got spring training for about another 10 days or so, 12 days. I don't get overly excited for spring training statistics. There's a lot of wind blowing down in Florida now, particularly on the Gulf Coast where some of the ballparks are. So you get some skewed numbers, particularly home run numbers and doubles numbers. One thing that I look for in spring training is I look at how the guys are running. Of course, I look at how the pitchers are throwing, if they look comfortable on the mound, if they're getting their work in. And then at the plate, you look and see if a hitter's dialed in, if they're making solid contact no matter where the ball goes. That's one of the things you're looking for. Being an Orioles guy, Manny Machado is looking really good coming back off his knee reconstruction. I think he's going to have a humongous year this year. He's looked really strong in the spring. And then you go and you look at the Washington Nationals, our other local team. Ian Desmond, the shortstop, he is in his free agent year. He is playing for a big-time contract. And watch out for this guy. He is going to have a monster season. That's Ian Desmond, shortstop, Washington Nationals. He is going to have a huge year.
I'll say this. My preseason pick last season in baseball to win the World Series was the Washington Nationals. And this year, I'm going to go with it again. I think it's Washington again. Washington disappointed me last year because their pitching in the playoffs against San Francisco was phenomenal, but they couldn't score to save their life. Now, you can give San Francisco a lot of credit because they pitched very well throughout the entire postseason, but at the same time, you can't go, 23 and a half innings without scoring a run?
Exactly.
That's pretty pathetic, especially if you're a major league team. But, adding Scherzer was huge. I don't think
starters.
Right, yeah, they do. I don't think Scherzer is going to last 7 years, but I think you're going to get 3 probably really good years out of him, and that's huge. And pitching still wins in this league. And you mentioned Ian Desmond, Anthony Rendon is great. If those guys, Bryce Harper, if he can stay healthy, if Washington can. If their offense can heat up along with that pitching staff, to me, there's no reason, unless they have a major injury, why they shouldn't win the World Series. Because they're stacked from top to bottom.
Yeah, I want to see. Rendon really made strides last year. He proved that he's a major league ready player. Harper is a superstar that's on the edge, man. He can either go up or he could go down. And I really think the first 2 months of the season, because baseball is such a long season, you can't look at 25 games and be able to pass judgment. You really got to look at about 50 games. And if he can go one of 2 ways, guys, he's either going to go up or he's going to go right to the crapper. And I personally think the guy's going to have a good year. And by his standards, I think he's going to have a little bit of a breakout year. I don't think he'll put up Mike Trout type numbers. Mike Trout's, at his young age, he's one of the best players in the game of baseball. But I think that Harper's going to have a solid year. I think he might get some protection in the lineup with Worth. Hopefully Worth can have he had tons of injuries last year. Could never really get it going. they'll have Ryan Zimmerman playing a little bit in the outfield, maybe playing a little bit of first, and filling in occasionally at third. But his throwing shoulder's dead. He's got so many shoulder problems. But the guy can still hit. He's still a clutch hitter. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting. I think the Nationals definitely are front runners to win the NL East, and I would have to pick them to go to the series as well.
Okay. Moving on. Next topic is NHL. Anything about that?
Well, we'll talk about the Washington Capitals, our home team here. Winners of we win 3 straight now. Shut out Boston 2-0, then come back and beat Buffalo. Almost blew that game, and then beat Minnesota last night. Got the third road game of a 3-game trip in Winnipeg tomorrow night, and then play 2 next week at home. But the NHL season's been it's been tight. It's been one of the tightest seasons that I can remember in recent years. I mean, you've got 6 or 7 teams that are really vying for the President's Trophy, which is lead the league in total points, and you amass your points by wins and 2 points for a win and 1 point for a overtime loss. But it's been a great season. Our guys scoring goals like crazy. Netted 2 more goals last night. The defense in Washington's playing much better. However, I still think, man, it's hard to pick against. I really like Anaheim. I like the Ducks, man.
Well, yeah, for hockey, I'd love to follow the hometown team here in Dallas with the Stars, but I was in New York for 4 years and followed the Islanders, worked with the Islanders many times, so it's pretty cool to see them actually having a really good season. It's their final season at Nassau Coliseum in New York, where they played many, many years there in the 70s.
They're moving to Brooklyn next year, right?
Yeah, they're moving down to Barclays, yeah. In the 70s, they were, phenomenal. They had the dynasty years, so obviously people are hoping to see that again. But I think most New Yorkers are hoping to see a Rangers-Islanders type of maybe playoff series, because those series are already tough and they're already great. I mean, I remember being in a couple Islander-Ranger games at MSG and at Nassau Coliseum, and the atmosphere is some of the best you'll probably see in hockey. So I've been following that pretty closely and following the last couple of games with the Islanders. I have a good friend, Julian Coulter, who's the color commentator from New York Islanders flagship radio station. We stay in contact, talk about it, and they got a game tomorrow night against the Devils, and it'll be interesting to see how that plays out.
Okay. The next topic is NBA. What do you think about that?
I'll go first. Ironically, I'm watching a basketball game right now. I'm watching you might see me turning my head. The Mavericks and the Grizzlies are playing, and the Mavericks are down by 15. And I'm a little more relieved now. The fourth quarter just started, but the Mavericks were down by 23, I think, a couple minutes ago. But they kind of cut it a little bit. But it looks like they're going to lose this game. The Western Conference in the NBA is phenomenal, like it is every single year. A lot of people have Golden State winning it all, or at least coming out of the West. I personally don't, and I know they're a phenomenal team and they're great and they do a lot of good things, but I look at their style of play in basketball. They're not a run and gun team. I want to make that very clear, but they are a live by the shot, die by the shot team. And historically in the NBA, that doesn't really pan out well in the playoffs. It has. I mean, hey, Dwight Howard's Orlando Magic team in 2009 got the Magic to the NBA Finals where they lost to the Lakers. Now they were not.
But Dwight Howard also averaged 18 rebounds in that series of a monster.
Yeah. No, you're right. Dwight Howard was definitely a pivotal piece to that. Outside of Dwight, they were a live by the shot, die by the shot team with Michael Petras and Ito Turkoglu and guys like that, Rashard Lewis. Nowadays, I don't see that panning out. Who do I see coming out of the West? I think that's a tough question. I'll put it like this: the Spurs have been good all of my life, and I know they're a 6-17 right now, but if they made the finals, I don't think anybody would be shocked. I've looked at the Mavericks. I'm a big Maverick fan. Follow them, cover them. I think that they're talented enough, but I don't think they're going to make it because I don't think the chemistry's there, and their defense isn't good enough. As for the rest of the team, Portland, rest of the Western Conference, Portland, Houston, the Clippers. And, today the Thunder said that they were going to shut down Kevin Durant. That's huge. I know Russell Westbrook's great. Yeah, Russell Westbrook's great, but he can't do it by himself. Portland is good. I don't think they're going to the finals. Houston's good. I don't think they're going to the finals. And I think it's going to be a juggernaut. I don't think we'll be surprised if all these series in the Western Conference go 6 or 7 games. As for the East, I know Atlanta's great, and they're good at a lot of different things. But with the way Cleveland has resurged since maybe the end of January, since LeBron came back when he missed those 9 games, and they went 1-8, Cleveland has been the best team in the Eastern Conference. I mean, they've been phenomenal. They traded for Iman Shumpert and J.R. Smith at the Knicks. J.R. Smith has adapted very well with his three-point shooting. Iman Shumpert's good defensively. I think Cleveland is going to the finals in the East. In the West, it's kind of like to be determined.
I don't think Cleveland will make it out of the East, and here's why. I think that they really messed up when they decided to go away from Kevin Love. Because Kevin Love can do 2 things for you. They got him playing as like a swing 4. And he's not a swing 4. Kevin Love, he needs to get the ball in the low post. He needs to move around on the floor. He needs to create his own shot. And he's not a spot-up jump shooter. He can't just stand in the corner and wait for the ball. He's got to be able to get into the game. I mean, you're talking about a guy that averaged 28 points a game with the Minnesota Timberwolves, and now he can't even average 28 minutes with this team because they're not using him right. They're out of position, and he's out of position. And that's why I feel that the Cleveland, you can't. LeBron James, as good as he is, he can't do everything. And Kyrie Irving is fantastic, but again, he can't do everything. And I really feel that they're just missing somebody. They're missing a guy that can play in the post when needed, and that can dominate a game when needed, like Kevin Love can, and he's very capable of doing it. I don't know. The East is so wide open. It's just like the West, really. I mean, you could take your pick and just flip a coin, in my opinion. I know that Cleveland's been dominating since LeBron came back. From his break, his injury, but I just don't think they're gonna. I don't know, man. I mean, I could be wrong, but I just don't think that they're gonna come out of the East. I don't know who's gonna come out of the East. It's a good question. I like Atlanta. They do like you said, they do a lot of things well. They can shoot, they can run, they can play half-court basketball. I do. I like Atlanta. I like some of the things that they do. I also like Chicago. I like the way the Chicago Bulls have played. I think they played exceptional basketball. They're capable of playing exceptional basketball. I think they're really learning more and more about their team with how to play without trying to rely on Derrick Rose.
And Jimmy Butler, too. I mean, Jimmy Butler was huge when they lost him as well.
Yeah. But, again, it just seems like Chicago's just one of those teams. I mean, they're like, okay, next man up. And they just keep, they keep getting guys. They keep answering the bell. I mean, they're 5-5. I think, I can't even remember. They're like, I don't know. They're like 8-8 in their last 16 or whatever. But, again, they're learning how to play without a major contributor. And it's, Dwayne Wade might be able to do just enough to squeak Miami in the back door to playoffs. I don't think so. But there's always that chance. And he's been playing good basketball lately, Miami's got a halfway decent team. Doesn't show it on their record, and the record doesn't show it. But Dwayne Wade certainly picked up his game. You got my Wizards in D.C., man. Look, they came out like wildfire. They had a lull there where they lost 11 of 13 games. But man, I mean, they seem to be hitting the stride now. Bradley Beal's back, feeling good. You know, Gortat and Nene are both playing well. And in my opinion, I still think that John Wall has a shot at the MVP award. I still think John Wall has a shot at the MVP. I think he's that good of a player. Although LeBron will likely win the MVP.
I think MVP is probably going to go to Russell Westbrook. Especially if Oklahoma City makes the playoffs. No Durant, no Ibaka. In the Western Conference, he had another triple-double tonight. This one is 7 triple-double in 2 weeks.
Yeah, but I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, he's definitely one of the 5 guys that have been talked about with the MVP all season. But I think they might backdoor into the playoffs. I mean, they're really about an average team, and that's what Durant's been out of the lineup most of the year already. I said it before when we talked about NBA last week, Austin, and I'll say it again, man. And you can't. I can't bet against San Antonio. I cannot bet against San Antonio. I know what Coach Pop's doing down there in San Antonio. He rests his players and saves them for the postseason. Tim Duncan's got old legs. He knows how to manage his minutes. He knows how to manage his players. He lets his players. He's a player's coach. He lets his players let him know, hey, I'm tired. Okay, we're going to cut back your minutes. And when you come into the postseason, I mean, no one has more experience in the NBA across the board than the San Antonio Spurs.
I got to ask, Austin, how old are you?
I'm 21.
All right, so I'm 23, so I'm a couple years older. So we can honestly say, both you and I, that ever since Michael Jordan retired, the Spurs have been good. So they've been good since 1999, and they're always there. And I remember 10 years ago when I was 13 in 8th grade, everybody thought the Spurs were old, and they're still good 10 years later, and they're still quote unquote old. Yeah. They're always going to be there.
Yeah, and it's really that's organization. That's what it is. It's the organization that just knows how to bring in players. They know how to bring players along, and they've got a manager. They've got Popovich just knows what he's doing, man. I mean, there's no better coach in the NBA right now than Greg Popovich, and I've said that for a few years now.
Okay, we're running out of time. Last topic of the night is NASCAR. Kevin Harvick has been on a hot streak, has won a lot of races so far, I think 4, to be exact, I think. Any news about that?
What's that?
I said, last topic tonight is going to be NASCAR. Any thoughts on that? Just, Kevin Harvick has been a hot streak so far.
Yeah, I mean, you know what I say about NASCAR, Austin. You just pick number 48 for every race, and you're going to win money. I don't know a lot about NASCAR. I know Harvick has won a lot of races. I know what's the driver that they just reinstated that had some
Kurt Busch.
Kurt Busch, yeah, didn't he win a pole position or something like that?
I don't think so. I don't know.
I thought he won pole position. I thought he won the pole position or something. I could be mistaken, but again, I don't follow NASCAR. I catch blips about it and stuff like that. But he's coming back off suspension. He's one of the best drivers in the entire NASCAR circuit. So what do you think about the NASCAR season there, Austin?
I haven't been following it recently because I've been busy with other stuff. So, I don't know. Your thoughts?
I'm not the biggest NASCAR guy, but I agree with Dad. I mean, Jimmy Johnson wins a lot.
That's what I pick 48 every race, man.
Yeah, so it's like if you're gonna put money on it, it's a safe bet.
Well, another topic. I'm gonna make this quick. I gotta say this on our podcast. It's driving me nuts. This big event is coming up very soon. It's almost April. The Masters. I know experts haven't thought about the Masters yet, but I'm an expert at this. I know for sure Tiger Woods is not going to win the 2015 Masters because, let's face it, he's skipped so many events. I don't even think he will beat the record of 18 majors. I'm sick of his bullcrap. He needs to fix whatever he's golf getting in his life and start winning again. So, my prediction for the Masters probably would be Bubba Watson, Rory McIlroy, or something like that. That's hot in golf right now, like on a hot streak. So, your thoughts?
So that's who you're going. You're going to take Bubba Watson?
Rory McIlroy is number 1 in the nation in golf, so I'm going to pick him instead of Bubba Watson.
That's who I'm taking. I'm taking Rory McIlroy.
Your thoughts, Stoner?
Yeah, I'm going with McIlroy too. It's interesting. Whenever March Madness comes around, don't you love watching CBS? You always see those Masters commercials, like the Masters on CBS.
I love it.
So it's like every time March Madness comes around, you always got to start getting ready for the Masters. It preps you.
Right around the corner.
All right.
Yep.
How you doing time-wise?
2 or 3 minutes, and then the show will be over. The last thoughts of the show, I just want to announce that our podcast show is sponsored by Full Screen Company. I'm partnering with them for my other YouTube channel. I just want to announce that. And one of my friends told me to give him a shout out. I'm going to give a shout out to DeAndre Siggers. His nickname is D-Sizz. Go check him out. Subscribe to him. Also, subscribe to our YouTube, of course, DMV Sports Talk. Check us out on our Facebook page, DMV Sports Talk. And final thoughts, Ed and Antonio?
Final thoughts, man. Check out my website, dmv-sports.com. If you like sports memorabilia and all that jazz, I'm your guy to go to, especially if you like sports from the DMV. I carry a lot of Baltimore, Washington related items. University of Maryland, Fear the Turtle.
For me, final thoughts. Well, for one, Austin, thank you for having me on. Thanks for reaching out to me on Facebook. You can try to catch me anytime. I'll be able to be happy to do it. Listen to my show every Friday, the Tame and Turner Show on Fishbowl Radio Network at fishbowlradionetwork.com or frbn.us. You can follow me on Twitter at Tame and T, spell my name right, TAIMONT717. Or on Instagram. I post a lot of photos of my life. But the Tame and Turner Show, it gears towards Dallas area sports, but we don't disclude anything. We bring everything up. We're sports fans, so we can talk about anything. So it's, bring it up, have some fun, and it's every Friday, so gotta love Friday. Enjoy the weekend.
and guys, check out the DMV Sports Talk Facebook page. We'll get some links put up on the Facebook page so we can check out your radio show next Friday.
Sure.
And last thing I forgot, check us out on our new Twitter account that I made up. DMV _sport DMV. Whatever. DMV at
DMV_sports_talk.
Yeah.
That's our new Twitter. Austin will be tweeting.
Can I just say one last thing?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Go Spartans.
And go the Washington Redskins. Hail to the Redskins.
Go Cowboys.
That's the wrap. Peace on in.